Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rugby Paper Roundup. I'm your host, Charlie. I'm joined by Cam, as always. Cam, how you doing?
Sweating in this heat. It's typical British, isn't it? The heat comes around, we all start complaining, even though we've been craving it all winter. Another good weekend of rugby. Obviously going to touch on Lions and top 14 stuff, but yeah, all good.
Yeah, I mean, they're the main stuff we're going to talk about because obviously the biggest two events. We might as well start with the Lions. Obviously, a big win in the end. They didn't necessarily make it easy for themselves. I mean, that first 15 or so minutes especially, but, it ended quite positively. So I guess what are your general thoughts on the performance?
There's a point in the first sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, I thought Dylan Peach was the best player of all time. He was tearing it apart. First half was a bit sloppy, even though they went, 21-7 up. I mean, some of the tries, especially the first half and the one after the break, bangers, scoring from range, slick hands, slick movement. Bit clunky still. I mean, kickoffs as well. What was it? 0 for the first 6 on the restarts. Yeah. That's something that obviously needs to get fixed ASAP. But yeah, flex their muscles in the second half. Good performance. I mean, when we spoke on Friday, we said, if the Lions could keep the force to in the teens or single digits and score 40 plus, it would be a win, and they did more than that. So definitely a good performance, good bounce back from Argentina as well.
Yeah, and good for the confidence, if nothing else. Obviously, as we said, Force aren't exactly the best team that they're going to play on the tour, but at the end of the day, yeah, it was good that they got a good result, big scoreline, and yeah, few good performances, few to work on, I would say, individually, but that's natural, and that's
yeah. Who are your standouts? I was going to ask.
Well, I mean, the obvious one is Henry Pollock. Everyone's gonna, I know he did have a few kind of ill discipline. Obviously, got the yellow card and a few moments of ill discipline here and there. But I mean, his X factor can't be disputed, and he did show that. I like Joe McCarthy as well. I think he'll be giving Tag Byrne a run for his money in the second row if obviously Byrne doesn't shift to the back row, which he did this week. But for the tests, I mean. Yeah, those two I really liked. I liked Elliot Daly as well. It was good to see him playing well, especially given the fact that a lot of people have questioned his selection in the squad in general. Yeah, I'd say those three probably for me. Any others for you?
No, I agree with that. I think that for Pollock specifically, that was just the perfect game for him, right? One that completely opened up in the second half, one where he could sort of hang in the wide channels and exploit some space. Obviously, some discipline stuff. I mean, the team as a whole, I think in the first half especially, a bit over-eager at ruck time, getting their hands on things and trying to sort of be a hero at times. I mean, Daly, he just keeps on doing it, doesn't he? He's destined for a test spot. I think that just the way he plays, they described it perfectly on commentary, didn't they? He's just a player that rarely makes mistakes and always seems to make the right decision. And it's someone you need in a test squad. So I think that 23 shirt will be perfect for him. Joe McCarthy also really good. I guess bittersweet overall because of the Tomos Williams injury. Just brutal. I mean, it's borderline worse than, well, maybe not, but worse than getting selected. Getting a taste of it and then get an injury that rules you out a game in. Just brutal. I mean, he worked so hard for that, and you see how much it meant to him in the selection, especially being part of a Welsh side that hasn't, won a game for 2 years. Just brutal. I mean, it's just the ups and downs of a Lions tour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ben White, obvious replacement. I think obviously Van Portfleet got called into the training squad before, but Ben White wasn't available, and I wonder how much the location factor played into it as well. Obviously, Van Portfleet being in Argentina and Ben White was in New Zealand, so obviously a lot easier and closer. I think Ben White's the right call, to be fair.
Yeah, I think he was the next one up. Obviously, like you say, JVP was in training, but Ben White was still with Toulon. So yeah, I'd have had Ben White as the next option. Obviously, Andy Farrell did as well. But yeah, I mean, on Tomos Williams, at the very least, he got a try in his be it short cameo. I know that'll be quite little, little consolation for him, but at least he's got something to show for it.
Yeah, he's a lion. You'll never be able to take that away from him. He's worn the jersey. He's played in 2 games now. He is a British and Irish lion, but just the start of a tour is just brutal to get an injury like that. Yeah, so tough one. But on to the next game on Wednesday. They come thick and fast, don't they, on Lions Tour? So good to get into the next one.
No, it's nice as well to have rugby like midweek and rugby straight away, because it's so often you get used to just having it on the weekends and then have your weeks free. Like, obviously, understandably, with the scheduling and with resting players and stuff. But yeah, it's good to see it on a midweek. And I tell you what, it is a very good squad that Andy Farrell's put out.
It's loaded, isn't it? It's loaded.
Backs especially. That's not a million miles away from the Test back line, I don't think.
No, definitely not. It's good to see Gibson Park back as well, starting obviously from the injury, and Keenan back from injury as well. I feel like he's starting to sort of shape what his Test team is going to look like a little bit more every week. And as you say, that back line is it's proper.
Aki and Jones and the centres, I'm looking forward to seeing whether they gel together and how well they do in general, because I think that's possibly the position that's most up for grabs in terms of having a lot of players of similar qualities. So I'm interested to see how they work. Obviously, we know the partnerships like with the two and with their compatriots like work well, but whether you can mix and match there.
I think what his plan will be. You got a few more games before the first test. He's obviously he went Tuipulotu and Ringrose against the Force. Now he's gone Aki and Jones. I wonder if it'll be Tuipulotu and Jones one game and then Aki and Ringrose another.
Yeah,
and we'll sort of see. I just wonder for the first test whether he'll go for that either Scottish or Irish partnership in there, or he's seen what he likes out of Aki and Jones or Tuipulotu and Ringrose. So there's definitely a position up for grabs, those two centre spots.
Yeah, no, and that's probably my favourite one to look out for in terms of like how it's going to go and what's going to be selected. Because there are a few that you can more or less see who's going to be selected, or it's maybe between one or two. But yeah, that one especially is between like we say four players basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Chesham in the second row, as a obviously Tigers fan, I'm looking forward to seeing that. That'll be good. Obviously with Itoje, good to see him play.
Yeah, second row is another point of contention as well, isn't it? Because as you said before, McCarthy went very well. Byrne is obviously coming into the tour was most people's starter in the second row. You know, you have to assume Itoje starts every test. So does Chesham come off the bench? Does Byrne or Chesham slide to 6? It's interesting, that sort of back 5 selection. Tom Curry at 6 as well. I think Tom Curry at 6 will be there for the test matches. It'll be very interesting to see how Jack Conan goes at 8 as well, because I think that's a spot up for grabs. Obviously, Pollock started there against the Force, and Burnell can play there, and that back 5 is interesting, the makeup of it. I think we'll see a lot of combinations for the midweek game before he figures out exactly what he wants from it.
Yeah, and as well on that, I mean, I feel like we're going for every position and saying it's up for grabs, but I'd say the 7 shirt, no one's really hugely impressed me yet on tour. Obviously, they're all unbelievable players that have been selected, but in terms of in the Argentina and the Force games, none of them have really kind of stood out. Even ones when they've played 8 and stuff.
That's why that top 14 final was such a big topic. Another reason. Jack Willis obviously tearing it up. First forward to score a double in a top 14 final. I saw a stat. He's the only player in the top 14 to win 20 or more turnovers, and he hit 31. And there was, I think he hit 200 plus defensive rucks as well in the season. I think Jack Willis is one of those where we'll look back in sort of 5-10 years time and think, how did we let him go through his prime without playing international rugby? Obviously, I mean, the circumstances of him leaving were pretty rare and semi-unavoidable, but to have him through his prime years just ripping it up in France and not playing at Twickenham, it's brutal to see as an England fan, isn't it?
Yeah, massive shame. And like you say, he's an unbelievable player. It obviously, I understand why it's the case, but it does bring into question whether it is slightly harsh and whether it is detrimental to England having the rule where you have to be obviously Premiership. But obviously, I understand. Like, there's arguments both ways. You could argue that everyone would leave the Prem for France, and then the Prem would be rubbish. I mean, I don't know whether that would or wouldn't happen.
There's arguments both ways, but I mean, just the black and white fact is that one of the best players, arguably in the world, one of the best back rowers in the world, is English, and he's not playing for England. That's just hard to. It's hard to swallow. I obviously get the reasons why, but it's just a tough one to swallow. But that top 14 final, I mean, moving on to it, that was just one of the craziest finals I've ever seen. I mean, we spoke about it last week, didn't we? That it was going to be a classic. I think I said 1 point Bordeaux would win by 1. You said Toulouse would win by 1.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you could say that. I was going to say a classic as a draw after 80 minutes, but crazy final. I mean, the stones on Luku to nail that kick in the last minute to send it to extra time, and then Ramos in the 95th or whatever it was to nail the one that extended it to 3, and then the one after that. Just a crazy final. Crazy. They do it different out there, don't they? I mean, some of the viewing stats. I think the Premiership final got just over 1 million viewers, and the top 14 final was 5 million. And then you look at some of the celebrations in Toulouse, just places packed out and people going mental. Yeah, they're built different over there at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, 80,000 fans in the Stade de France, and then however many on the streets of Toulouse and Bordeaux as well. That is something that you don't see anywhere else in the world, is it? Like in terms of domestic.
No.
France do just have it so good domestically.
Some of the celebrations would be good to see. Obviously, it's gone a bit viral, that the Jack Willis and Blair Kinghorn kiss at the end. I saw a video of Saito sort of surfing the bouclier as well. So I think there'll be a few more videos that come out in the next couple of days of people doing some weird and wonderful things to that, plate rather than trophy.
They'll definitely be having a good time down there. No doubt. But
Kinghorn's going to have a sore head on that flight to Australia, I think.
Yeah, well, he should have had Willis with him, like you say.
Could have
to give him some water or something to eat. But yeah, I mean, just one last thing on Willis as well. Obviously, him not being able to play for England has affected his Lions' chances. So as well, it's had the knock-on effect of that.
It's that not, obviously not playing at test match level is a level above any domestic rugby, even if it's top 14 final or whatever. It's just different, right? And Willis not playing in that environment for the last 3-4 years has been a factor against him. It just has been. But he's still someone that I think if he stepped into a test arena right now, he'd be exactly the same animal. We saw it when he played for England back in 2020 and 2021, and he's just grown since then. So I was surprised he wasn't selected in the squad initially. It's just a shame to see him not at the highest level, but he's getting paid well, and he's got a full summer on holiday now, so can't blame him really.
I'm sure he won't be too devastated.
No, he'll be sat there with his feet up.
Considered. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, is there anything else you'd like to talk about from this weekend? That's everything from me.
Don't think so. Bring on the rugby, coming thick and fast, as we say. Game on Wednesday. Keep the tour rolling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exciting times ahead. Well, thank you everyone for listening.